One of the things you pick up from the movie Hacksaw Ridge is that all of Desmond Doss's fellow soldiers felt like he was a nuisance, he was a pest, he was strange. They didn't want him in the army, they didn't want to fight with him. His beliefs were peculiar, his faith was different, and this posed a problem for them. In the middle of basic training, when Desmond Doss was being persecuted by his fellow soldiers, he said to his lieutenant, Jack Glover, "Lieutenant, when you go to war, I'm going to be right by your side, saving life while you take it." Jack Glover responded to Desmond Doss and he said, "You will not be by my side." This communicates the perspective that the lieutenant had. He didn't see the value of Desmond, and he didn't see the value of Desmond's faith. Neither did all the rest of the soldiers. What use is a man who goes into war without a gun? They couldn't understand. They didn't get it. They didn't realize the truth that Desmond was going to be one of their most valuable assets on the battlefield. As Providence would have it, on the field of conflict, this man, Jack Glover, who said to Desmond Doss, "You will not be by my side," he's wounded, and he's laying there in the field of conflict, and who comes by his side but Desmond Doss? The majority had it wrong with Desmond. The majority of the soldiers, the majority of the officers, they had it wrong. They didn't have the ability to recognize the value of this man of faith. And it's the same in the world today. If a person chooses to have the faith of Scripture, oftentimes the world around them doesn't see how useful they are and how meaningful the truth that they believe is. But whether or not they see it, it is what it is. It was the same in Jesus' day. 2,000 years ago, the Scripture teaches us that Jesus Christ is arrested. He's been tried by the religious leaders, and he's standing there at his trial, and the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate, wanting to free him, brings in front of the crowd another criminal, another person who's been arrested. His name is Barabbas. And the Bible tells us that he was arrested for sedition, for rebellion, and for murder. He was a violent man, he was a bloody man, he was a man of war. And Jesus was the opposite. He was a humble man, he was a man of healing and faith and blessing. And Pilate holds both of these men before the crowd and he says, "Who would you have me release to you? Jesus the Christ or Barabbas?" And the people in unison cry, "Give us Barabbas." The crowd, the majority, was wrong. They didn't know, they didn't see, they couldn't understand that God had sent them his Son, that he had embodied all of the principles of love in this person, Jesus of Nazareth. It's the same way with Desmond Doss. And this is what I want you to take from this. This is a lesson for me, a lesson for you. It's very simple, but it's very important. The majority is not always right. Desmond seemed peculiar, strange, odd. He was of no use to the rest of the soldiers. But look what he did. Look what he accomplished. It can be the same with us. But if we're following after the approval of men, the praise of men, then we will never be all that we could be like a Desmond Doss.